Welcome everyone. We will be talking about reward management in this particular presentations. So the agenda will simply define as what are the system that we are going to follow around it. The selection of the rewards as the case might be relating to the performances. How do we compensate with the rewards? Job satisfactions, the rewards thereof, the employment compensation as such, and the role of human resource manager in the reward system. Probably we'll end up with summarizing this particular presentation at the fag end of the video. Let us understand by defining the system. The organizational reward system, what does it go around it? It concerns with the selection of the types of wages, rewards to be used by the organization as on one point of time. That is what organization reward system is all about. It what is organization reward? It includes various types of reward, be it intrinsic, be it extrinsic, be it materialistic, be it non-materialistic. When I say materialistic, we are talking about monetary rewards, and non-materialistic as there are many plentiful of rewards that can be given to the employees. Intrinsic rewards are internal to the individual and are normally derived from involvement of a certain activities or tasks. Example, job satisfaction, feeling of accomplishment. Extrinsic rewards are directly controlled and contributed by the organizations to be a more tangible than intrinsic rewards. Examples are pay and hospitalization benefits, perhaps for the employee or the family of the employees. Although differing, intrinsic and extrinsic rewards are very intimately related to one another. Often, extrinsic rewards provide the recipient with the intrinsic reward, as the case might be. This is what we all aspire to be. Now, that is what we are talking in this particular video of reward management. So, let us understand in details what are the various rewards that can be classified. So, under intrinsic reward is achievement, feeling of accomplishments, informal recognition, job satisfaction, personal growth, and status. Wherein extreme reward is formal recognition, probably going into black and blue, absolutely documenting it with a certificate, probably having an event around it. Fringe benefits, incentive payment, pay, promotion, social relationships, physical work environment, as the case might be. This is what are the intrinsic reward, which is internal to the organization, and extrinsic reward, which have been made public towards it. So we have the pay, we have the promotion, we have the incentives, we have the fringe benefit that needs to be taken into account for. So yes, we'll talk about the selection of rewards. The management must recognize what employee perceives as a meaningful reward. Usually, pay is the first thing that comes into your mind. Yes, definitely. But sometimes pay is not the only thing that the people would be thinking around. Reward should be viewed in a very large perspective as anything that one values upon it. It may include office location, it may include a certain piece of equipment, let's say a laptop or your automobile that has been given to you for your personal usage by your office, assignment of a preferred work taste, giving flexibility to maintain a wonderful work-life balances, informal recognition as the case might be. Selection of rewards is another false assumption which has been exemplified by the fact that most organizations offer the same mix of rewards to all employees. Study shows that many variables can influence employee preferences for a particular reward. They include what? They include age of the employee, sex of the employee, gender, if I may say so, marital status, whether they are married, divorced, or separated, number of dependent, what are the responsibilities that comes around years of services. For example, older employees are usually much more concerned with the pension and retirement benefits than probably that of the younger employees, as the case might be. So this is what we are looking into it. When selection types of rewards of other intrinsic benefit, what is happening with the intrinsic benefit? You need to understand that managers and employees both would look at tangible benefit much more associated and probably rewarding towards one another. External factors that place limitations on the organization rewards can also exist. You may tend to compare with what actually is going in the industry. These factors includes beyond the control of the organization, such as the organizational size, environmental condition, stage in the PLC or the product life cycle, as the case might be, and the labor market, as often as possible, the labor market that comes around it. So free enterprise system is based on the premises that rewards should be depending on the performances as the case might be. Performance reward relationship is described organizational or corporate level, individual level. Employee will be motivated when they believe such motivations will lead to a desired reward, as the case might be. Many formal reward provided by the organizations are no way related to the performances. Now, what I'm trying to tell it to you is you have a base pay for which you always already get paid for it. But for excellent services, excellent performances, above par and continuous above excellence performances, you should be rewarded, right? As an individual levels at an organizational levels. Now, these are might be nothing, but we are paid vacation, probably an insurance plan, probably a medical plan, probably a paid holiday. You name it, there might be, and these can be it can be awarded based on the level of the employees as far as the pay band is concerned, as far as the salary structure is concerned. We can have certain formal rewarding procedures set in within the organization premises. So preconditions, let's say for pay for performance program, what are the preconditions for implementing pay for performance program? Trust in the management, first and foremost. If you don't have that trust, you will never be able to access this particular program, and the management has to be very transparent in their operation. So I perform above average as per whatever goals objective is given to me. I do it with all my abilities and achieve them, but at the end of the day or at the end of the tenure, I have not been aptly rewarded. Do you feel that I will be motivated? Probably not. So that is what the trust in the management has to be there. So you should tell about the goals and you should walk the talk. If employees are skeptical of the management, it is difficult to make a pay for performance work altogether. Absence of performance constraint, job must be structured so that employee performance is not hampered by the factors beyond his or her control. Train supervisors and managers. Now, this is what we are looking forward towards it. Supervisors and managers must be trained in settings and measuring performance standards. Good measurement system. Performance should be based on the criteria that are job specific and focus on the results as to be achieved as on when on basis. Let us look into the preconditions for implementing pay for performance program. Ability to pay. Are you willing to pay? Are you able to pay? And if you are not willing to pay, is a different scenario. Are you able to pay in the first place? So merit portion of the salary increases the budget must be large enough to look for the attentions of the employee. Clear distinction among the cost of living of COLA allowances, seniority, and the merit basis that comes around here. In absence of a strong evidence to the contrary, the employees will naturally assume a pay increase is a cost of living or seniority increase, as the case might be. So we need to maintain that clear distinction among the cost of living, the seniority and the merit, about the pay band, about the employee level, employment level, and so on and so forth. Well communicated total pay policy. Employees must have clear understanding onto how merit pay reflects into a total pay picture. Flexible reward schedule. It is easier to establish a credible pay for performance plan. If all employees do not receive a pay adjustment on the same date as the case might be, as you look forward towards it. So job satisfaction and rewards and employee general attitude towards the job. How do we work? How do we view the job in the first place? Organizational reward system often has a significant impact on the level of employee job satisfaction. Manner in which extrinsic rewards are dispersed and can affect intrinsic rewards, satisfaction of the recipient as the case might be. So we have that general attitudes towards the job. Definitely, yes. We know what are the extrinsic reward, what are the money that has been associated, what are the recognition that has been associated, how do we go around it, and what are the various other intrinsic reward as well the satisfaction of your ego probably, or the fact that you people have been recognized as such of the recipient. So there are five major components of job satisfaction. Number one, attitude towards the work group. Number two is general working condition, if it is suitable enough or not, respectable enough or not. Attitude towards the company, monetary benefit, and attitudes towards the management will ensure that you are making the right strides for the towards the job satisfaction. Other components are there, and they may include the employees state of mind about the work in itself. Some employees love their work, some employees despise their work. It is depending upon their thought process, life in general, health, age, and level of aspiration, social status, political and social activities, as the case might be. The satisfaction is a performance controversy. The path of least resistance attempts to explain belief that a satisfied employee is necessarily a very important and viable employees as such. If the problem persists, if there is still a problem as far as the employee satisfaction or happiness is concerned, you need to discuss it with the why that employee is actually failing to meet the standard. Now, this is what need to be discussed, and proper counseling should be taken into consideration. Remember, happiness eventually results from satisfaction, and if the later goes much deeper and is far less tenuous than happiness, if you're not satisfied, probably you will not be able to give the most impactful performance for the job, and probably that will lead to a less you being less happy in the first place. So two propositions that exist in fact in the front of satisfaction and performance theory. One is a traditional view wherein satisfaction causes performances, and satisfaction is rather the effect rather than the cause of the performances. It's most of it, most of which you want to go around it. It's one theory says satisfaction leads to performances, the other theory saying it is performances which leads to satisfaction, as the case might be. So which one stands true? You let me know and decide it among yourself. Which precedes the other, satisfaction or performance? Performance or satisfaction? Performance leads to reward that result in certain level of satisfaction. Definitely, yes. If you are performing well, you will be scoring good, you will be rewarded good. That would mean a meaningful, more productive, and probably more satisfying life. Reward constitute a necessary intervening variables in the relationship. Another position that considers for both satisfaction and performance is the functions of the rewards, as the case might be. Satisfaction results from the reward, but current performance also affect the subsequent performances. If rewards are based on current performances, what do you go around it? How do you move and believe so? Research shows or research tells that satisfaction actually leads to performance. If you are happy, you will be performing well. Some people do say that you perform well and then only you tend to be happy, but research shows that if you're happy, if you have a very pleasant personality, you tend to give 100% in no matter what the situation is all about it. It does provide moderate support for the view that performance leads to satisfaction, as the case might be. Let us continue with the controversy. It's been clearly established that job satisfaction does have a positive impact on your turnover, on your absenteeism, on your tardiness, on your accidents, on your grievances, on your strikes. So if you are satisfied with your job, there will be less turnover, less absenteeism, less tardiness, less accidents, less grievances, and less strike. What does mean? It means you are happy with your job, you're satisfied with the job. Why rock the boat? Why change the conditions thereby? So experiences, gender, performance can have a moderate effect on the relationship. Organization prefers satisfied employees simply because they make the work environment much more pleasant. Let us understand a satisfied employee is not necessarily a high performer. There are numerous reasons for cultivating employee satisfaction thereby. What are we looking at it? We are looking at other factors affecting job satisfaction. Wide range, both internal and external factors, affect an employee level of satisfaction. Surveys have found that top drivers of employee job satisfaction are pay, benefits, job security, feeling of a safe environment, work environment, flexibility between work-life balance. These are the top drivers for employee satisfaction. It is your money that you take home. It is the fact that this flow of money is going to be continuously there for the next coming few years. As long as you are not doing anything wrong with the company, you are assured of it. About to your work-life balances, if you are fulfilling all a commitment towards your personal life, you are happy with it. Job satisfaction and motivation are synonymous. Yes, they are there to drive to perform. You, if you are motivated enough, you will perform well. If you are performing well, so your motivation level will automatically be as good as anyone else. So organization reward system can influence both satisfaction and employee motivation. So you should be, it affects job satisfaction by making employee more or less comfortable as a result of a reward system, as the case might be. It influences motivation primarily through the perceived value of the rewards and the contingency on performance, as the case might be. This is what actually manages the show in the full flow. Let us understand the determinants of the employee satisfaction. Now, if you look into it, we have pay, job security, balance of work life, safety in work environment, quality of work, style, quality of management, working condition, perceived opportunities. Now, this might lead to me. See, presence of all this will lead to a job satisfaction. Presence or absence of some of them might lead to a job dissatisfaction. Satisfaction means I am becoming loyal to the employees or the organization of the employer. Or if job dissatisfaction, what do I look into? I look for opportunities elsewhere. That means there will be increased turnover, absenteeism, tardiness, accident might come in, strikes, and so on and so forth. So that is what we are looking as far as an employee satisfaction and dissatisfaction are concerned. We should be aware of each one of them. Let us talk now about rewards, the compensation packages as thereof. Remember, all extrinsic reward that employee receives in exchange of the work. So I put in my skill, my labor, my time, my effort, my youth, whatever it is towards the organization. In turn, the organization is going to reward me in terms of compensation, composed of various basic wages, or let's say salary, any incentive or bonuses that might be there. Base wage or salaries are to be paid on an hourly basis, perhaps on weekly basis, and definitely it has to be on a monthly basis. So the employee receives that pay at the end of the duration that they have been working around. Incentives, rewards offered in addition to the basic wage or salary, and are usually directed related to the performances. We talk about the benefits. Rewards employee receives as a result of the employment position with the organization, example, paid vacation, health insurance, and retirement plan. How do we go around it? Pay refers only to the actual dollars employee receives in exchange of the work that goes around it, as the case might be. So we'll talk about the components of the employee compensation, thereby how, what are the various components that comes around it, and how do we mitigate them. We have the basic wage salaries, which has to be duration based, the duration being hourly, weekly, monthly, annual, overtime, and so on and so forth. Now, what are the incentives? Incentives are one-time kind of scenarios which have been paid to the employees in on the form of bonuses, commission, profit sharing, or piece rate plans. The other benefits, these are non-monetary benefits. Probably, yes, the company ends up paying money, but the money doesn't goes to the pocket of the employees in terms of paid vacation, health insurance, life insurance, retirement pension, and so on and so forth, as the case might be. So compensation policies must deal with the following issues: minimum and maximum level of pay, taking into consideration worth of the job to organization ability to pay, government regulations, union influences, market pressure, general relationship among the level of pay between senior management and operating management, operative employees and supervisors, divisions of total compensation dollars that has been paid n number of times, what portion goes into the basic pay, incentive pay, and benefits thereabout. How do we deal with it? Here comes, the organization must also make certain decisions. Let's say it concerns how much money or how many monetary resources will it allocate for the pay increase next year. So it tells a revenue increase, is it a profitability increase? Now, what fragment of those profit or the revenue has to be given or distributed as an incentives or as a paid hike for the subsequent year? So, and who will recommend it? The immediate bosses, the HR, the overall boss, the CEO, and will the raise be generally to be determined in which particular fashion? So another important decision concerning whether pay information will be kept secret or it has to be made public. I see many organization nowadays wants them pay revisions to be an hush hush affairs, and they do not want to divulge the details to all the employees as such. They have their pluses, they have their minuses, but and essentially, I do not prescribe to that system. Primarily, if you can be transparent with your reward system, there will be a lot of loyalty and lot of trust towards the company and the organization. But as is the rule, pay secrecy is the thumb rule as of nowadays. So many organizations have the policy of not disclosing the pay related information as on when on basis. Information about the pay system as well as the individual pay received. Justification for pay secrecy to avoid any discontent that might result from employees knowing what everybody else is being paid. Many employees, especially high achievers, feel very strongly that their pay is something that is not anybody's else business. Now, there are drawbacks. So I've been trying to tell you about the drawbacks of the pay secrecy. Difficult for employees to determine whether the pay is related to the performance and does not eliminate pay comparisons thereby. What does it do? Why is it so difficult? Because pay performances and pay comparisons, it does not eliminate in any fashion. You just cannot subdue the information for a longer period of time. May causes employees to overestimate their pays of their peers and underestimate the pay of the supervisors, as the case might be, can create a feeling of dissatisfaction. Employee becomes much more suspicious, as the case might be. Now we talk about the model consequences of pay dissatisfaction. Now what is happening with pay dissatisfaction? What do we look into? We look for more pays, right? Because I'm not happy, because I'm not sure whether my supervisor is being paid less or whether my subordinate has been paid more. I am not sure about it. So there will always be a question mark as far as the pay is concerned. This will lead to do what? This will lead for me to doing about strikes, increased performances, joining an union, grievances, and search for a higher pay. Essentially, it is basically doesn't make sense. You could have divulged it altogether in the very first thing if everything was transparent out here. But then desire for more pay will ask me to join, motivate me to join the union, look for increased performances, definitely involved in strikes. If I do not get the pay increase in the right fashion, I will take the wrong route altogether towards it. Grievances, search for the high paying job that comes around it, low attractiveness of the job, as the case might be. Now what happens is, if the pay dissatisfaction, it means low attractiveness. The lower attractiveness of a job will lead me to be very absent, keeping myself absent because I'm not very interested with the job. Turnover wise will be high, job dissatisfaction would be high, absenteeism would be high, would be poorly dressed, poorly attired, um, poorly behaved, the tardiness in my outlook, which will eventually be a psychological withdrawal and visiting to our doctors, as the case might be. This is what will eventually happen. Now let us understand for of having a pay equity. Equity theory of motivation states what? It says that employees have a strong need to maintain a balance between what they perceive as their inputs to their job and what they receive from the job in the form of reward. It should be aptly equal to one another. Employees who perceive inequities will take actions to eliminate or to reduce them. Pay equity concerns whether an employee believes they have been fairly paid, squarely paid. If an employee believes he is underpaid or she is underpaid, the employee is likely to reduce his output or her output and probably start working slowly, probably taking off early or coming late, or probably even absenting from the work itself. Similarly, if an employee believes that he or she has been overpaid, the employee is likely to work harder, probably would like to justify the salary or the payment that he or she receives at the end of the day. So several dimensions of equity to be considered when looking at pay equity. One is an internal equity, which means it addresses what an employee is being paid for doing the job compared to what other employees for the same organization been paid to do their job. So if there has to be a parity between them, everything is good, viable. But if there seems to be creeping a doubt, it creates a havoc to the problem. It adds absolutely a petrol to the fire altogether. External equity is something like addresses what employees in other organizations have been paid for performing the similar job. Now this is where you're working in company A for the similar job, what has been paid for this in company B. And an external equity, individual equities addresses issues to the rewarding of individual contribution. It's been very closely related to the pay for performance question. Organizational equity addresses how profits are divided up within the organization as the case might be. Employee interpretation of the pay equity are based on perception. Organization should make this perception as accurate as possible. An employee can also feel good about one or more equity dimensions and can feel bad about others. For example, an employee may feel good about his or her pay in comparison to what friends are working in other organizations, how much they are making into it. He or she may actually believe that the company is profits are fairly distributed or unfairly distributed, the way you want to go around it. However, the same person might be very unhappy about his or pay relative several to other people in the same organization, and these are juxtaposition that comes around it with not being transparent when you have the reward management which is very opaque in nature. So we have this model of determinants p which goes around it. If we look into it, the skill, experience, training, effort of a person, seniority, age wise, experience wise, education wise, then there is something called, this is what the personal job inputs of a person comes around it. Then comes what it's a exactly about the job, what kind of level of job you are doing, difficulties, time span, amount of responsibility. Now this is what we are talking about, the job characteristics. Now what are they are the inputs and output of the referent others, perceived job characteristic. And we are working with a certain social strata coming into your mind. Probably you are in an age group, probably you're coming from similar background, probably you are looking at a particular level altogether. So perceived non-monetary outcomes, wage history, perceived pay, and these things, this will all relate to the perceived amount that should have been received, or the perceived amount that is being received. If there are parity, well and good, there's a pay satisfaction. If A is equal to B, there's a satisfaction. But if A is more than B, there's a pay dissatisfaction. And if A is less than B is, it's guilty, iniquity, discomfort. You are actually not doing the same thing as been related altogether, and that is what the models of determinants of pay structure is all about it. So as a HR manager and the reward system, it is the role of the manager to design and administer the system. When administrating the system, you have to carry all responsibility to ensure that the system is free, fair to all the employee, and it has been properly communicated to all the employees thereby. Ensuring the system is fair places burden on minimizing rewards inequities with employee perception of rewards inequities squarely on human resource manager. Little doubt exists that the organization needs to do a better job of explaining, communicating their compensation system to the employees. Many tools and techniques are available to assist in human resource manager in designing, administering the compensation system as of their basis. So, as promised earlier in the slide, that I would love to summarize at the end of the video is what has been covered up today. We have talked about the organizational rewards. We have talked about the intrinsic and extrinsic rewards that comes around it. Intrinsic are internal, extrinsic which are manifested in terms of pay and so on and so forth, even for that matter, and vacation, paid vacation altogether. List several desirable preconditions for implementing pay for performance program, which we have done it, right? So defining job satisfaction, listing 5 major components. We have summarized which is more important, is satisfaction or performance, and what are the relationship between performance and satisfaction. Defined compensation, we have done about it. Pay, incentive, and benefit. We have also instigated about the various pieces of government legislation that comes around it. We have spoken about equity theory and the equity theory of motivation with respect to the pay, and discussed the internal and external, individual and organizational equity in this thing. With this, I come to an end of this particular presentation. I hope you have understood the reward management in detail. Thank you for watching this video.